And here we have it, ladies and gentlemen. It's the Nike Air Zoom AlphaFly Next Percent 2. And I have two questions to answer about this shoe right now. One, is this the ultimate successor to the original AlphaFly? And two, is this going to be the next best race day shoe? Let's talk about it. So before we get into it, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're subscribed watching this content. Thanks so much. Love you guys a lot. Make sure you follow me on Instagram, Strava for all sorts of updates on race day stuff and other life events and whatnot. So without further ado, let's begin. I'm leaving the specs for the shoe up here. We will address them in a minute because this is my first impressions. So we just got to go over everything on the shoe. So without further ado, let's begin. First things first, of course, the general specs as you see them. In my size, the shoe is about 7.8 to 7.9 ounces, which does put it at about 205 to 210 grams on average. We do have a stack height in the heel of about 40 millimeters, and in the forefoot it's about 32 millimeters, which gives us an 8 millimeter offset. And now I'm going to preface this video with one thing. I don't want to compare it too much to the original AlphaFly because I do want to do a deep dive version of this video when the time comes. But I will say that right off the bat, that I think the AlphaFly either had, the first one had either a 4 or 5 millimeter offset, and this one now has an 8. So the principle of the shoe has slightly changed in this case with more of that forefoot emphasis. Just something worth noting as we're kind of going into the specs and discussing some of the other things there. But continuing on from the general specs, let's just go talk about this upper. Again, the shoe is relying on Atom Knit, which, as we've kind of broken down before, is a mesh style upper that Nike has worked on, which is heat treated and kind of singed in a certain way where it has a bit of a thicker feel to it. It has much more of a durable structure and still about the same flex as its other textiles, but it's just unique to this shoe that it's a lot more durable in this particular case. Not something that's used on the Vaporfly or the Vaporfly 2, also worth noting. In this particular shoe, we have 2 layers, three in some areas, of Atom Knit that are worth noting. On the top layer, we do have kind of like a general woven material, which you can kind of see is the larger woven area. And then if you can kind of see through, maybe it's just better on this side. Yeah, it's actually better on this end. We have a second layer that's hiding underneath it, which is woven a lot tighter, probably just to prevent damage to the shoe from, your toes, from your socks, and things like that. And then in the forefoot area, we have the signature, just thicker piece of Atom Knit, just to prevent you from blowing past the toe box area and breaking the shoe in this kind of sense. So that's kind of what's going on over there. We do of course have just some regular Nike textile here as well. This one is kind of got that holographic style where during the nighttime, if you shine light on this, it does refract in a cool way. So it's pretty neat like that. And there's another area of the shoe. I don't remember where it was. I think maybe it was this piece of textile as well. That's the other piece that refracts as well. But that's kind of cool in this particular edition. And I don't know if this was the same thing in the red version of this shoe. I know this is the case in this one because this is the Ekiden or the Ekiden edition of the shoe. And yeah, there's a couple of other things worth noting there. So Atom Knit all the way across, minus the heel area, where in the heel guard, it looks like it's a separately woven material that isn't necessarily Atom Knit from the looks of it. It might be more of like what's kind of used in the Infinity React and some of the other daily trainers that are available in Nike's kind of wheelhouse. But they have 2 things going on. One, at the very bottom of the heel cup, there is a much thicker piece that prevents the heel from caving in and kind of being loose. And then at the top, we have the same style. Well, not same style, but same concept of a heel pillow right here just to prevent you from, kind of scratching, bruising, and essentially cutting up your heel while you're running in it. And it does have a lot of flex too, so I wonder if they're trying to do what they did with that one style of shoe. I don't remember the name of it. The one where you could just push into it and it just ties right away. I'm going to remember the name of it. I'm going to write the list of it here. But I don't think that's what this heel function is supposed to be. I think the idea of putting this shoe on by pulling these 2 heel tabs is still the concept for the AlphaFly. That same principle is being applied with the unusual design of having a really thick pull tab here that you would either tie over or you find a way to tie underneath and then just tuck the shoelaces away. What I've been doing now is just tying over it, but I don't know if that's the proper way of doing it. It's just kind of odd that you would do that, because I would imagine that this would eventually kind of break the knot of your shoes over a while. So I don't know, just something worth kind of keeping in mind there. Something also worth noting on the shoe is that it doesn't have a separate layering of eyelids. I think that's what's already happening here, is that when they Nike or whoever the brand manager was, oh no, wait, maybe I stand corrected. No, I'm still good on this for sure. They don't have a separate set of eyelids on this shoe. This is still just, they've already used them and kind of woven them through here. So however you tie it is just, the shoe is ready to go on race day. You don't need to do any sort of additional shoelace looping. It's just there, it's good to go. Okay, now let's talk about the bottoms and the outsole of the shoe. So just kind of a brief, overview of the outsoles. This is what they look like. As you can see, that's our left foot. This is our right foot. And from a first impression standpoint, there is no damage worth noting on this shoe. Again, I do watch this particular area where we have a bit of like a white smudge right there. Just still watching that area just to, of course, see how that damage is going to progress as I continue running in them. But things worth noting, of course, as we look at the shoe, it has pretty much a lot of similarities to the AlphaFly. Again, it's just using ZoomX all the way across, but there's 3 different pieces of it. We have the heel cup ZoomX, we have this green strip of ZoomX, and we have the one by the Air Zoom pods here at the bottom, which, speaking of which, Air Zoom pods are right there. The carbon plate is still visible on the shoe and is running the duration of the shoe and the forefoot area as well. So fundamentally built very similar to its predecessor, but there's a couple of additional pieces as we see here, which first and foremost notably is going to be the rubber running across the shoe. There's a lot more rubber now that's visible in the heel area of the shoe, which when I was running sounded like I was running on, I guess, like wet tar, and it was kind of like sticky in that kind of sense. I guess another good way of describing it is like if you're running in honey, and it's just kind of like a sticky, kind of a squishy effect in the back here, and it feels like you have to like peel off the ground in that sort of way. And I just don't know if that's because the rubber is treated a certain way and I had to remove that material, or it's just a design of having suction cup style designs on the shoe. So that's something worth noting, of course. And then in the forefoot area, the rubber kind of still follows this pattern around the ZoomX. And I think this is just the 2022 model design overall of having this kind of blocky build and kind of this like squared up kind of design overall, where, we got like squares, we got square, we got squares, and then we got more squares right here. That this is just the design that Nike's been rolling with for most of their shoes. In addition to, there we go, I got it right here, more squares. You didn't think the Zoom Fly 5 was going to make a cameo in this one, but there it is. So the idea of just having that design is interesting, but it is immediately noticeable in terms of the general specs that this is adding a little bit of extra weight on the shoe. Just something worth noting. Now let's talk about performance. So I think my general rule when I was making this video was that there was only one real way to know if this was a good race day shoe, and that was to take it on an actual race, which I do have on my calendar in about 3 weeks, which will be the Hot Chocolate 15K in Houston, Texas. But from a performance standpoint, the shoe so far is doing exactly what I thought it was going to do, if not kind of raise an eyebrow in terms of being consistent about it. Because based on previous reviews I've seen on this shoe, a lot of people were saying that the magic of the AlphaFly is kind of missing in this shoe, but I'm not 100% sure that that's the case yet, at least. It's because, again, when I took this on a treadmill and I was doing some sprinterval sessions, I guess. I was doing like a 4 by 40 seconds at like a gradually faster and faster pace. I managed to push this to about 4:36 per mile pace, and the shoe is very stable and extraordinarily consistent. So like it didn't feel like I was losing my I guess running stride in any sort of way, and it just felt smooth overall. And that's what I was expecting from the AlphaFly, was just that stability and consistency at faster speeds, and more of that brick kind of feel when you're running at slower speeds, because you're not really utilizing the shoe at its highest potential. It's just like basically taking like a McLaren F1 at like road pace. Like it doesn't make sense, right? You want to like really drive that car at fast speeds and like make it handle really well to get the best out of it. So that's kind of what's going on with the AlphaFly 2, is you really have to push this shoe to get the most out of it. And yeah, so that was for my treadmill session. For my road session, again, same kind of consistent feel as well, where if I pushed in the shoe, I got a good energy return out of it. I was able to keep a well, I guess, coordinated stride with the shoe. It didn't feel like I was struggling or heavy at any sort of points. Just again, my own personal fitness is kind of holding me back on this shoe right now. I still got to do a little bit more speed work in that case, but you know, that's neither here nor there. So that's some of my thoughts there. But again, race day for sure in Houston, I will use this shoe, and we're going to determine if this race day shoe is going to be the ultimate race day shoe of 2022 and now 2023. So lots more to come, I guess, on that side, but I will have a deep dive comparing this to the AlphaFly 1 in addition to one of its other predecessors, the Vaporfly, and kind of how that model into the AlphaFly ultimately. So I'm going to end the video review here. If you guys have any thoughts on the shoe or have any supporting or contradictory opinions, let me know in the comment section below, but I will leave this here for now. So thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.